Good day to everyone. Our lesson for today is all about some of the important sources of history. We will watch a presentation about primary and secondary sources. Please take down notes or important information about this video.
Created using Powtoon.
Okay, ngayon ay alam na natin kung ano nga bang pagkakaiba ng primary at secondary sources. Ano nga ba ang primary sources? Batay sa inyong napanood na video, pag sinabi nating primary sources, ito yung mga uri ng mga sanggunian na kung saan ay naibigay ang mga impormasyon sa pamamagitan ng mga speeches, photographs, or letters. Ibig sabihin kapag naibigay yung talumpati sa oras na iyon, mga larawan pagkatapos ng pangyayari at mga sulat o liham, yun ay primary sources. Samantala, pag sinabi nating secondary sources, ito yung mga sanggunian pagkatapos ng pangyayari. Like for example, naisulat ang mga pangyayari sa isang libro or textbooks, gayon din naman naisulat ang mga nangyari sa magazine o kaya ay matatagpuan ang mga nangyari, mga pangyayari sa encyclopedia. Ayan, alam na natin kung ano nga ba ang pagkakaiba ng primary at secondary sources. Ulitin ko, pag sinabing primary sources, ito ay maaring makita, speeches, photographs, and letters. Samantala, sa secondary sources, ito ay makita sa textbook, magazines, and encyclopedias. Para naman sa ating talakayan, some of the important sources of history are as follows. All the material which has a direct bearing or can be any assistance in constructing the history of a particular period are called as historical facts or sources. The historical sources can be of two types, primary and secondary sources. A primary source is the evidence of an eyewitness or mechanical device which was present at the time of the occurrence of the event. Ibig sabihin lamang na kapag sinabi nating primary source, ito yung mga ebidensya mula sa nakakita, mula sa nakawitness or nakasaksi, o kaya naman yung ginamit na mga kagamitan tulad halimbawa ng pagkuha ng litrato pagkatapos ng pangyayari, sa talumpating napakinggan, at yung mga letter or sulat patay dun sa pagkatapos ng pangyayari, merong nakitang mga letter or mga sulat. Samantala, pag sinabi naman nating secondary sources, ito nga ay pagkatapos ng mga pangyayari ay may mga nailathala na mga textbook, may mga nailathalang pangyayari sa magazine or kaya ay sa encyclopedias. It is the work of the historian to convert the scattered, difficult primary evidence into coherent, intelligible secondary sources. The secondary source is the evidence of someone who was not present at the time of occurrence of the event. Example, books written by historians. The secondary source is also of great historical importance to the historians. Although secondary source is itself dependent on the primary sources. Ibig sabihin lamang, ang secondary source ay mga ebidensya na kung saan pagkatapos ng mga pangyayari ay naitala or nailimbag ang mga pangyayari. Halimbawa na lamang yung aklat na sinulat ng mga historian o ng mga historiador. At tatandaan natin na ang secondary source ay maaring dumidepende sa primary sources. Kasi kung walang primary sources ay hindi maisusulat sa mga libro ang mga pangyayari. Kailangan ng primary sources para makapagsulat tayo sa mga libro at makapaglathala tayo ng mga libro o kaya ng magazine o kaya naman ay ng mga encyclopedia. Lahat ng mga printed materials na batay dun sa pangyayaring iyon. A primary source may contain secondary information. Example, newspapers are usually considered primary sources, but the information provided by newspaper is not all based on the primary sources, such as certain incidents reported by the paper may be such which the correspondent saw or he actually took part, while certain offered information may be based on the official information of sources considered reliable. Halimbawa na lamang sa primary source or pangunahing sanggunian, maaring naisulat ito o nailathala ito sa mga pahayagan o dyaryo, pero may mga pagkakataon din naman na ang primary sources ay mula sa nakita o mula sa nasaksihan at ito ay batay sa mga impormasyon na talagang kapanipaniwala na batay doon sa credible na tao o na masabi nating mapaniniwala ang tao mula doon sa kanyang mga nakuhang impormasyon. Primary sources. The primary sources can be classified into the following categories. 1. Contemporary records. These types of primary sources are in the form of the instruction documents, stenographic and phonographic records, the business and legal paper and autobiographies, etc. The instruction documents may be in the form of an appointment notification and the direction from the Foreign Office to the ambassador, etc. Generally, such documents have very little chance of error, but it is essential to ascertain their authenticity. Makikita natin na sa primary sources ay meron tayong maaring mga kategorya. Halimbawa na lamang ay ang contemporary records. Ano-ano nga ba yung mga contemporary records na ito? Ito yung mga dokumento na naitala sa stenographic and phonographic records. Halimbawa sa stenography, sa pamamagitan ng stenography ay naitala yung mga dokumentong ito. Di ba yung stenography ay ginagawa ng mga stenographic mula sa bawa ay sa isang husgado. Inire-record niya yung mga tala ng mga datos na batay sa mga idinidinig na mga kaso sa husgado. Lahat ng mga pangyayari ay naire-record niya. Kaya hindi naman yung pornographic records. Halimbawa ay sa pornographic records ay nagbigay ka na itala or naibigay yung mga pangyayari sa pamamagitan ng mga tape recorder o kung ano mang uri ng mga recorder. Maaari masabi natin na yung mga legal paper and autobiographies, yung mga talambuhay at yung mga legit na mga dokumento or documents ay may tuturing natin na contemporary records. Dahil ito ay masabi natin may authenticity o talagang masabi natin ito ay kapanipaniwala kasi ito talaga ay makatotohanan. The business and legal letters consist of the bills, journals, leases, wills, tax records, which gives an insight into the working of the firms as well as the persons. The autobiographies are a credible source of history because they are very close to the events with which they deal and written by a person himself. These are non-prejudicial. Ayan, pag sinabi nating mga business and legal letters, tulad halimbawa ng mga bills, yung mga binabayaran nating mga iba't ibang mga bills sa kuryente, sa tubig, o kahit sa pagbabayad ng mga tax, ayan. Sa mga journal entry na naitala, ayan. Lahat ng yan ay mga uri ng business and legal letters. At yung mga autobiographies, pag sinabi nating autobiographies, ito yung talambuhay na sinulat ng mismong may akda o ng particular na tao, sinulat niya yung kanyang talambuhay. Yun ay isang uri din ng contemporary records. Second is confidential reports. The confidential reports are not intended for a general audience and are less reliable than the contemporary sources or records. These types of reports are generally in the forms of military and diplomatic dispatches, journals, diaries, or memoir, and personal letters. Ibig sabihin pala yung confidential reports, ito ay sinulat hindi para maipakita sa mga maraming mga audience o maraming mga mamabasa. Halimbawa na lamang sa pamamagitan ng military and diplomatic dispatches, ayan sa mga kasunduan ng mga militar, sa mga diplomat, at maaari yung mga journal na tinutukoy, yung mga diaries o yung tinatawag nating tala-arawan na mga pangyayari, na mga paggunita sa mga pangyayari. Ayan, kapag naisulat natin ito sa ating diary o yung tala-arawan, ito ay confidential reports. At yung mga personal letters natin sa ibang tao ay mga confidential reports or confidential na mga records. Third is public reports. The public reports are meant for general public and less reliable. There are three types of public reports, and each possesses a different degree of reliability, such as newspaper reports and dispatches are more reliable, which depends upon the agency from which it is originated and the newspaper in which it is published. Memoirs or memoir and autobiographies are another public reports which are written for the public at the close of the life when the memoirs of author is fading and are therefore not very reliable, and the official histories of the activities of government or business or house are also an important kind of public reports. They possesses incriminating material and less. Ibig sabihin yung mga public reports Halimbawa na lamang dito yung mga pahayagan na isinulat yung mga report o kaya naman ay maaring may kita natin yung mga pahayagan na ito na nailimbag, yung mga alaala, yung mga gunita, yung mga memorya, at dito nailimbag yung talambuhay ng isang tao. Halimbawa, yung talambuhay niya, yung autobiography niya, yung sariling talambuhay niya, ay naitala sa isang pahayagan or naitala sa isang, halimbawa, ay naitala sa isang journal. Ayan, masabi nating public report na ito. Fourth is government documents. Numerous government documents are compiled which are also a source of vital importance to the historians such as statistics about fiscal, census, and vital matters which can be made use of by the historians. All these reports have first-hand importance but requires proper evaluation before the use. Yung halimbawa natin ng government documents, halimbawa na lamang dito, yung mga statistics about fiscal, census, and vital matters ng mga historian. Halimbawa, yung mga historian natin o yung mga historiador natin ay may mga report or ulat batay sa mga pangyayari, yung mga statistics, yung mga figures na yan mula sa fiscal, ayan, mula sa census at vital matters. Ibig sabihin, first hand yung information, di ba? First hand na ito ay talagang importante at ito ay talagang napakahalaga. Kaya lang ito ay dapat munang magkaroon ng proper evaluation. O ibig sabihin natin ng proper evaluation, dapat ay mabigyan muna ng pagsusuri ito kung ito nga ba ay totoo o hindi. Ayan. Dadaan muna siya ng evaluation. Fifth is public opinion. The public opinion as expressed in the editorials, speeches, pamphlets, letter to the editor are another important source available to the historian, but the authenticity of this must be corroborated by other evidence because public opinion may not be always reliable. Tama naman yun kasi yung mga public opinion ay hindi naman kadalasan na totoo at hindi natin maaaring masabi natin na ito ay makatotohanan at dapat paniwalaan. Kaya kailangan kung may mga public opinion na naisulat halimbawa sa editorial, sa mga talumpati, or kaya ay sa mga pamphlet, o kaya naman yung sulat mula sa editor, maaring mahalaga nga siyang sanggunian. Pero kailangan nating masuri yung pagiging totoo nito, yung authenticity nito. Kasi hindi lahat ng opinion ng publiko ay maaari nating mapanigan or maaari nating paniwalaan. 6 is folklores and proverbs. The folklores, which reveals the stories of legendary heroes, are also an important source of history. They tell us about the aspirations, superstitions, and customs of the people among whom the stories develop. Example, Ala Udal, the hero Rajputana. To make the use of these folklores, the historian should not only possess a thorough knowledge of the history of the period, but also able to distinguish between the legendary and authentic elements. Similarly, proverbs can give us an idea, but the scholar must have the thorough knowledge of the customs and traditions. Halimbawa na lamang ng mga folklores ng mga kwentong bayan at mga proverbs na mula sa Biblia or sa Bible. Minsan kung susuriin natin yung mga storya or kasaysayan ng mga kwentong bayan, halimbawa kwentong bayan, kwento ng mga bayani, ay mahalagang talagang pinagmula ng kasaysayan. Kasi ito ay mula sa kanilang aspirasyon, mula sa mga paniniwala, mula sa mga customs or masabi nating tradition. Pero may mga pagkakataon na dapat ay magkaroon tayo ng isang malalimang pagsusuri. Gamitin natin ang ating pagsusuri o ang ating kaalaman para malaman kung totoo nga ba or makatotohanan nga ba yung nasabing kasaysayan. Kasi mula ito sa folklores, mula ito sa kwentong bayan, kaya dapat ay masuri natin yung authenticity, yung pinaka-authentic nitong mga elemento kung ito nga ba'y makatotohanan. Kasi kung minsan ito ay batay sa tradisyon, batay sa mga paniniwala lamang, ayan yung mga superstitions, minsan kasi ang mga superstitions ay hindi masasabi nating 100% na makatotohanan, lalo na kung ang kwento ay kwentong bayan or folklores. Secondary sources. The primary sources can be of great help to the historian if he has acquired thorough knowledge of the background through the study of secondary sources. Example, the works of the great and important historians of the proposed area and the period of research. On the basis of this knowledge, he can utilize the contemporary document at relevant place and can be correct the secondary sources. Ayan, yung secondary sources ay pwede nating sabihin na magagamit natin yung mga primary sources natin para makagawa tayo or makapagsulat tayo ng isang mga pangyayari o sa mga nangyari sa pamamagitan ng secondary sources. Kinakailangan ng primary sources nang sa ganun ay talagang makatotohanan ang maisusulat natin sa mga aklat, sa mga magazine, sa mga encyclopedia na tinuturing natin secondary sources. Criticism. As the historian draws his conclusions and generalizations on the basis of these documents and facts, it is essential to check up the authenticity of the documents and facts. It is the duty of the historian to doubt every statement until it has been critically tested. This criticism can be types external and internal. Meron tayong dalawang uri ng kritisismo or criticism. Ito yung external and internal criticism. Dahil nga yung mga historiador ay dapat niyang masuri, magkaroon siya ng thorough knowledge or thorough investigation kung yung mga documents ba ay authenticity or authentic ba yung mga documents at makatotohanan. Dapat yung mga historian ay lahat ng statement na nakapaloob dun sa particular na letter o particular na mga speeches ay alamin niya kung makatotohanan nga ba ito. Una, yung external criticism. The external criticism is of a less intellectual type of criticism of the documents. It includes examinations of documents like manuscripts, books, pamphlets, maps, inscriptions, and monuments. The problem of authenticity of the document arises more in case of manuscripts than the printed documents because the printed document have already been authenticated by the editor. Halimbawa na lamang dito sa external criticism, yung mga manuskrito, yung mga aklat, yung mga pamphlet, yung mga mapa, yung inscriptions, at yung monuments. Ibig sabihin, ang problema lamang sa pag-check ng authenticity ng mga document na ito, lalong-lalo na sa mga manuscripts, kasi ito ay nailimbag na ng mga dokumento na maaaring ito yung pagkakalimbag ng mga dokumento ay nasuri na ng mga editor o ng punong patnugot ng isang particular na pahayagan. Kaya kapag sinuri natin ito, tignan natin mabuti kung ito nga ba talaga ay makatotohanan. Historian has to resort to a number of tests to determine the authenticity of a particular document in his proposed area of research, such as authorship. The first question when examining the authenticity of document is its author. Even the anonymous writings can provide us useful and important knowledge, but the discovery of an author's or writer's name adds the authenticity of the information because of the character, connections, and trustworthiness of author determines the authenticity. Halimbawa na lamang, maraming bilang ng mga historiador ang nagsuri na ang talagang tinignang mabuti yung authenticity ng mga particular na dokumento. Halimbawa, yung authorship. Halimbawa, siya yung sumulat ng particular na artikulo sa pahayagan o kaya naman siya yung sumulat ng particular na halimbawa ay teksto sa particular na libro, kailangan ma-examine or masuring mabuti yung authenticity ng ganong dokumento. Kasi mahalaga na masuri natin yung dokumentong ito kasi baka mamaya ay hindi naman talaga pala siya yung sumulat ng particular na dokumento, dinagdag lang yung kanyang pangalan o kaya maaring yung author ay may maling spelling, kaya naman ay may mga maling spelling ng pangalan o kaya ay hindi talaga mismo siya yung taong yon na sumulat o yung author na sumulat ng particular na dokumentong yon. Kailangan natin tingnan yung kanyang karakter, yung kanyang koneksyon, o kaya ay mapagkakatiwalaan ba yung author na yun o yung may akda na yun. Para masabi nating makatotohanan at authenticity yung kanyang sinulat na dokumento. Can be of a great help to the historian if he has acquired thorough knowledge of the background through the study of secondary sources. Example, the works of the great and important historians of the proposed area in the period of research. On the basis of this knowledge, he can utilize the contemporary document at relevant place and can correct the secondary sources. Like for example, nasuri natin na mayroong discrepancy doon sa lugar, doon sa petsa, doon sa mga taong involved. Pwede naman nating maitama yun, di ba? Kung doon sa primary source ay medyo may mga discrepancy or merong hindi masabi nating consistency, ay pwede nating itong maitama sa secondary sources. Kaya nga natin pinag-aaralin yung primary at secondary sources para kung merong mang maling data or maling mga information dun sa primary source or mga primary sources ay maitama natin, maiwasto natin sa secondary sources. Secondly, date of document. Example, the time, place of publication of the document must be inquired to determine the authenticity of the document. In the modern publications, year and place of publication is indicated on the book or document on the title page or backside overlook. However, in old manuscript, where the data and place are absent, it can be found out from the language or from the date of birth and death of author. Halimbawa na lamang dun sa date of document, dapat maayos yung pagkakatala ng oras, ng lugar, ng publikasyon. Kasi baka mamaya yung pagkakatala ng impormasyon ay patay na yung sumulat o yung patay na yung author, tapos nailimbag or na-publicize yung particular na dokumento. Kung ito ay nailimbag na, tingnan natin kung yung petsa ay buhay pa yung author. Baka mamaya kung patay na yung author, ibig sabihin hindi na talaga siya yung sumulat nun. Diba? Yun ay masabi natin isa sa mga dapat nating masuri. Dapat yung maaring yung particular na dokumento na yon ay naisulat nung buhay pa yung author. Kasi kung patay na yung author tapos na ilimbag or na-print yung particular dokumento na yun, masabi natin hindi siya kapani-paniwala kasi patay na nga yung author. Thirdly, the historian confronts with the textual errors which may be either unintentional or deliberately committed. An intentional error can take place in the copies of the documents. Originals are not available. These mistakes may be caused by the scribe, typist, or printer. Minsan may mga pagkakataon sa mga historian ay makikita natin may mga maling impormasyon. Halimbawa, mali yung spelling ng particular na lugar, mali yung spelling ng particular na tao, o kaya naman ay maaring hindi naman sa intensyon na nagkamali or pagtatype yung mga scribe, yung mga typist, o mali yung pagkakaprint. Ayan, tingnan natin mabuti yung mga kopyang yun, yung mga documents na yun, kung talagang ito ay authentic or talagang kapani-paniwala. Kasi baka mamaya mayroon lang nagkamali lang ng type o nagkamali lang ng scribe sa pagsulat ay hindi naman intentional. An intention error may creep in when effort is made to modify, supplement, or continue the original. This problem can be overcome through textual criticism. Under this technique, effort is made to collect as many copies of dubious text as possible and they are compared. Halimbawa sa intention error. Halimbawa gustong i-modify, gustong palawakin, o kaya gawing supplement or maaring ipagpatuloy sa original yung dokumento. Kaya lang, kung may pagpapatuloy ito or mapapalawak natin yung dokumento o yung particular na teksto or sinulat ng author, ang problema kasi sa textual criticism, hindi kasi lahat halos ng maaari niyang maidagdag ay masabing kapanipaniwala na agad. Kailangan nating i-evaluate muna kung yung kopya nga ba nito ay tama or masabi natin posible ba na pagkumparahin natin yung original pati yung may karagdagan ng document or meron ng naidagdag na particular na impormasyon dun sa document na yon. If the ideas and style do not match or resemble the idea and style of the author, it can be safely assumed that they were not parts of the original manuscripts and were forged by the later ones. Furthermore, the textual accuracy can be solved with the help of sciences auxiliary. Two stories such as paleographies have authenticated numerous documents of the medieval period by their handwritings and have published easily legible printed versions. Halimbawa na lamang dito, ikukumpara natin yung pagkakaiba ng mga bahagi sa orihinal na manuskrito at doon sa mga masabi nating meron ng modification or pinalawak na may karagdagan na ng particular na historian or particular na sumulat nun. Ayan, yung mga paleographies na tinutukoy natin, sila yung nagsusuri sa mga makatotohanang mga dokumento. Maraming bilang na dokumento na ang kanilang suri kung itong mga ba'y makatotohanan o hindi. Lalong-lalo na nung medieval period. Tinignang mabuti kung tama nga ba yung handwritings kasi nung panahon na yun wala pa naman tayong gaanong mga publications or mga printing materials. Tinitingnan nila kung makatotohanan nga ba kung mismong yung author or ang sumulat nun yung sa sarili niya itong panulat or handwritings. The archaeologist provides rich information to the historians. The numismatists, by dating the coins, metals, and deciphering their inscriptions, render valuable assistance. Fourthly, after the confirmation of authenticity of the sources, historians confronted with the different terms used in the document. Halimbawa na lamang dito yung mga inscriptions na nakasulat halimbawa sa bariya or coins o kaya naman yung sa mga metal or sa deciphering. Yung mga inscription dapat dito ay talaga masabi natin kapanipaniwala talaga yung nakalagay o yung nakasulat. Kasi baka mamaya may mga pagkakataon kasi yung mga archaeologists, ayan, nagpo-provide sila ng information. Pero baka mamaya yung mga na-provide nilang information, halimbawa doon sa bariya, doon sa metal na yon o yung deciphering, ay hindi na sa ayos or maaari nating sabihin na yung petsa doon ay hindi naman talaga yun. Kaya kailangan talaga nating suriin yung authenticity o yung pagiging makatotohanan ng ating sanggunian, yung ating sources. Kasi baka mamaya yung barya na yun ay hindi naman talaga dun sa panahon na yun o kaya yung mga metal na yun o kung ano mang mga deciphering na yun ay hindi pa rin talaga nakapaloob dun sa panahon na yun. Ayan, dapat alamin natin yung mga nakatala or mga naka-inscript dun sa mga bariyang iyon. The meaning of words often changes from the generalization to generalization or generation to generation. Therefore, historian must find out the meaning and sense in which it has been used in the document. The misinterpretation of terms may be led to misunderstanding of the historical development. In this way, even after the historian established the authenticity of the documents and discovered the meaning of the text, his duty is not over. He is confronted with another important problem, the credibility of the document. Ibig sabihin lamang may mga pagkakataon na sa mga generation to generation ay may mga pagbabagong nagaganap, di ba, sa ating mga henerasyon ngayon. Ma-generalize natin na may mga pagbabago sa henerasyon na ito sa pamamagitan ng mga makahulugan na mga salita. Di ba? May mga makahulugan at makabuluhang salita na maaari nating mabasa mula sa mga dokumento at masabi natin baka mamaya ay mayroong misinterpretation dun sa mga naisulat na iyon. O kaya naman ay mayroong hindi naunawaan or mayroong hindi pagkakaunawa sa mga nangyaring historical na pag-unlad o historical development. Maaring yung mga historian o historiador ay masabi niya na authentic yung mga document na yun sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay ng kahulugan sa teksto. Di ba? Kung minsan kasi kung nabasa niya yon at maaring hindi niya naunawa ang mabuti, maaring magkaroon ng hindi maayos na mensahe kung ano yung nakapaloob doon sa tekstong iyon, dapat unawain muna ng historian yung mga nakapaloob sa teksto, basahin niya ito ng paulit-ulit para malaman niya kung ano talaga yung nakapaloob na kahulugan o kung ano talaga, makabuluhan ba yung nakapaloob doon sa tekstong iyon para makita natin na credible yung dokumento. Internal criticism. While collecting the material, it must be remembered that a document contains the idea of the man who wrote. Historian must analyze the contents of the documents with a view to determine the real meaning. He must try to avoid the lapse such as avoid the reading into meaning which author did not mean to convey, example, etc. And make a sincere effort to find out the facts even if they are contrary to his set notions and theories. Ibig sabihin, kahit sa pangolekta ng mga material o ng mga kagamitan, dapat nating alalahanin yung mga dokumentong ito kung ano nga ba yung idea or kaisipan na nakapaloob doon sa sinulat ng author. Kasi maaaring historian ay maaari niyang suriin ito yung nilalaman ng dokumento sa pamamagitan ng kanyang pananaw. Pananaw niya sa makatotohanang kahulugan or kung ano nga ba yung makatotohanang kahulugan doon sa sinulat ng author. Kaya lang maaring niyang hindi gawin o maaring hindi niya gawin na magkaroon ng mga lapses doon sa pagbabasa. Like for example, hindi niya maunawaan na mabuti yung sinulat ng particular na author kasi malalim yung wikang Ingles, ayan. Maaaring tingnan niya muna sa dictionary yung salitang yun para maunawaan niya at maunawaan niya kung ano nga ba talaga yung nakapaloob doon na kahulugan. Ayan, dapat ay meron siyang sincere na effort para nang sa ganun ay masuri yung pagiging makatotohanan ng mga datos or ng mga impormasyon. You must be able to understand the literal and real meaning of the document, which is termed as positive criticism. It reveals us with the author's conceptions and general notion which he represents. On the other hand, historians sometimes come across documents which contradict each other. Hence, the need of eliminating statements and facts which are obviously wrong and false arises. Halimbawa na lamang, baka merong hindi siya naunawaan doon sa literal at makatotohanang kahulugan ng dokumento. Kasi sinabi nating positive criticism ay positibong kritisismo, di ba? Kailangan makita natin yung conceptions ng isang may akda o ng author. Kailangan masuri natin, maunawaan nating mabuti yung kanyang tinatawag na conceptions, yung mga konsepto niya, yung general notions, yung kanyang pagpapakahulugan sa kanyang sinulat. Ayan, kasi may mga pagkakataon kasi yung dokumento ay nagko-contradict or pag sinabi natin contradiction, nagkakasalungat sa isa't isa. Minsan may mga ganun na yung historian, sinabi niyang positibo ito, tapos sa ibang historia naman, dun sa particular na teksto ay sinasabing ito'y negatibo. Merong contradiction. Ayan, kailangan suriin nating mabuti kung tama nga ba or mali yung mga particular na dokumento batay sa literal at real meaning ng dokumento. Therefore, historians have come to hold the view that all that cannot be proved must be temporarily regarded as doubtful because of the incompetency and unreliability of the author, which prevents him from telling the truth even when he knows. To assess the correctness of the fact, historian must ascertain whether author had opportunity to know the facts as an eyewitness or not. Ibig sabihin, pwede nating malaman kung ang sinulat ng particular na author, maaring ito ay makatotohanan nga ba o hindi sa pamamagitan ng pagsusuri sa factual na impormasyon. Halimbawa na lamang ng mga historian, maaring malaman natin kung yung historian na ito or historiador na ito ay nakasaksi ba siya sa ganoong pangyayari. Kasi baka mamaya sinulat niya yung isang particular na teksto, isang particular na bahagi ng kasaysayan na hindi naman pala niya nasaksihan at maaaring batay lamang sa ibang mga nakasaksi. Kailangan nating suriing mabuti kung makatotohanan ba ito at kapanipaniwala batay sa isinulat ng author o batay sa kanyang nasaksihan na pangyayari. What was his source of information and how much time elapsed between the event and the record, but the dependable testimony depends on a number of factors such as ability and willing to tell the truth, accuracy of report, and independent corroboration. However, it may be noted that there is a possibility that a skillful liar may deliberately create the condition. Example, ability and willing to tell the truth, which accuracy to establish the credibility of his statements. Halimbawa na lamang mula sa sources of information. Baka mamaya ng mga oras na yon ay nagkaroon na ng time elapse dun sa record na yon at sa mga pangyayaring iyon. Depende pa rin sa testimonya nung particular na tao. Ayan. At maaaring suriin natin yung katotohanan ng impormasyon o ng document. Pati dapat nating suriin yung accuracy of report. Baka mamaya hindi siya accurate, maaaring doon sa isang particular na page ay ito yung nilalaman, tapos sa kabilang page ay naiba na yung nilalaman. Ayan, dapat ay magkaroon tayo ng independent corroboration. Pag sinabi natin independent corroboration, yung mga historiador ay nagsasama-sama, tapos pag-usapan nila at suriin nilang mabuti, babasahin nila ng paulit-ulit yung particular na teksto, at doon na susuriin nila yung authenticity o yung makatotohanan. Kung makatotohanan nga ba or maaaring panigan yung mga tekstong iyon o yung dokumentong iyon. Halimbawa na lamang, may mga pagkakataon na may mga pagsisinungaling na nangyari. Ayan, dahil sa pagsisinungaling na ito, gusto niyang sumikat sa particular na bahagi or sa particular na pangyayaring iyon, tapos nagsinungaling siya na siya ay nakasaksi pero wala naman pala siya sa lugar na iyon, yun ay masabi nating hindi ka panipaniwala. Kasi kung hindi mo nasaksihan yun at sinasabi mo dun sa dokumento na ikaw mismo yung nakasaksi at nakarinig or nakakita at wala ka naman pala dun sa mga oras na iyon, yun ay masabi natin hindi ka panipaniwala, kaya hindi ka panipaniwala yung isinulat mo. At syempre, dapat may establish mo yung iyong kredibilidad bilang isang author. Yung panipaniwala kasi nagsusulat ka ng mga makatotohanang impormasyon, nagsusulat ka ng mga totoong datos batay sa iyong mga pag-aaral. Therefore, in those cases, the credibility must not be accepted without proper investigation. Moreover, if there is agreement between documents, we cannot draw the conclusion that the facts are definitive, but we must ensure that the facts are harmonious and prove each other are interconnected. Ibig sabihin lamang, tingnan natin yung credibility nung investigasyon, meron ba itong ginawang pagsusuri, meron bang ginawang pag-iimbestiga, at syempre dapat ay magkaroon kayo ng agreement sa pagitan ng mga dokumento at sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay ng konklusyon kung makatotohanan nga ba o hindi yung particular na dokumento. Kailangan ay magkaroon kayo ng maayos, yung harmonious, ayan, at mapaniwalaan or ma-prove, masabi na may connection talaga yung bawat dokumento. Okay, panoorin natin yung karagdagang impormasyon mula sa primary and secondary sources.
Historical sources are central to your study of the past and are important to your success in history assessment pieces. Therefore, it is crucial that you understand what historical sources are and the various kinds and types they exist in. So what is a historical source? A source is something that provides you with information about the historical topic you are studying. They can either be written, like books or websites, or non-written, like photographs or artifacts. No matter what you're doing in history, you'll use sources in order to find out information from the past. This could mean simply reading a textbook or a website, or attempting to interpret ancient artifacts. Either way, these documents and artifacts provide information that is useful to your historical studies and are therefore considered sources. There are two kinds of sources, primary and secondary. The main difference between a primary and a secondary source is when they were made. In order to determine whether a particular source is a primary or secondary source, you need to determine its time of creation. If a source was made during the historical period you're studying, it is considered a primary source. If the source was made after the time period you're studying, it is considered a secondary source. So what are primary sources? As stated, primary sources are sources of information that were made during the historical period that you are studying. For example, if you're studying World War I, any document created at the time of the war would be considered a primary source. Alternatively, a primary source is a document that was made by someone who lived through the events they describe, even if they wrote down what they saw several years later. For example, someone could have lived through World War I as a teenager, but only wrote down their experiences decades later. As a result, their writing is still considered a primary source about World War I. Often, primary sources are the most difficult to find, but as a result are often the strongest evidence you can use in your assessment pieces. There are some common types of primary sources that you will be looking at. The most common are published documents. These are written sources that were intentionally published to be read by other people. Examples of published documents include books, magazines, newspapers, government documents, advertisements, maps, posters, and legal documents. When reading published documents, please remember that just because they are published does not necessarily make them accurate or reliable. Another type of primary source is an unpublished document. Unpublished documents are also mainly written sources, but were not originally intended to be read by a wide audience, and were typically only meant for the personal use of the author. Examples of unpublished personal documents include letters, diaries, and school report cards. Unlike published documents, unpublished records may be difficult to find because few copies exist. Please be aware that in some cases, unpublished documents can be collected and eventually published, but always keep in mind that they were not originally intended for public consumption. A third type of primary source are visual documents. These are sources that are predominantly images and not words. Such examples of visual documents include photographs, films, paintings, cartoons, and posters. Since visual documents contain more images than words, they require careful interpretation to work out what message they are trying to convey. The final type of primary source are artifacts. Artifacts are man-made objects that are usually uncovered by archaeologists. Examples of artifacts are pottery, furniture, clothing, buildings, and other physical items from the past. Like visual documents, because there is no writing on artifacts, they require careful interpretation to be used as evidence in your arguments. Usually you can use artifacts to corroborate or contradict what your written sources say about the past. In contrast to primary sources, secondary sources are documents that were made after the time period you are studying and were created by people who didn't personally experience the events they describe. For example, if you are reading a history textbook about World War I by an author who didn't live through the war, it would be considered a secondary source. Since secondary sources can basically be written by anyone since the time of the events, you'll find that some secondary sources are better than others. Typically, you should only use secondary sources that are written by qualified historians, such as academics, as they are usually more reliable. Like primary sources, secondary sources come in different types. The most common type of secondary sources are books. Books such as school textbooks often have a lot of information about a particular historical period. Another common type of secondary source are academic journal articles. Academic articles are documents that are written by university academics that are published in academic journals for other university academics to read. Since academic journal articles are the result of many years of research by specialists in particular areas of history, they are some of the highest quality secondary sources you can use. However, please be aware that academic journals are written for an academic audience, so the language can be very difficult to read at first. A third kind of secondary source are websites. There are countless numbers of websites that discuss historical events and people. As a result, different websites vary widely in accuracy, reliability, and relevance. However, very few of them are created by qualified historians or experts in their fields. Therefore, be critical of the websites you find through a basic Google search, as most are not of sufficient quality for your essays. If you choose to use websites as secondary sources, make sure you only choose them from respectable individuals or institutions such as universities, museums, or government archives. So now that you know what primary and secondary sources are and what types they exist in, let's look at some examples to solidify your learning. The example sources we'll be looking at will be providing information about the ancient Roman city of Pompeii in Italy, which was buried as a result of an eruption from Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. The first source is by a Roman author called Pliny the Younger, who wrote a letter about the events to his friend Tacitus. In the letter he says that one day, between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, a cloud of unusual size and appearance was rising from Vesuvius. I can best describe its shape by likening it to a pine tree. It rose into the sky on a very long trunk from which spread some branches. Ash was falling, bits of pumice and rocks that were blackened and burned and shattered by the fire. The buildings were being rocked by a series of strong tremors and appeared to have come loose from their foundations and to be sliding this way and that. Now, even though Pliny wrote this letter many years after the events occurred, he was still an eyewitness of the eruption. Therefore, he is considered a primary source of the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. A second example is also a Roman author called Cassius Dio, who wrote a history book about ancient Rome in which he mentioned the eruption. He describes the events as follows. A great fire suddenly flared up at the very end of the summer. Mount Vesuvius had inexhaustible fountains of fire. Then came sudden violent earthquakes. First, huge stones flew up as high as the mountaintop. Then came a great quantity of fire and endless smoke. All the while an inconceivable quantity of ash was being blown out. It buried 2 entire cities, Herculaneum and Pompeii. Now, Cassius Dio wasn't born until AD 155 and didn't write his historical account until over 100 years after the events took place. Therefore, he is considered a secondary source of the events he describes. Our third and final source are the archaeological remains of the city of Pompeii itself, an entire Roman city buried in meters of ash and pumice. The remains of countless earthquake-damaged buildings and entombed human remains all corroborate the information provided by Pliny and Cassius Dio. The physical remains of Pompeii date from the time of the eruption in AD 79, so they are also considered primary sources. Now you have a better understanding of primary and secondary sources and the different types that can be sorted into, I hope that you feel more confident in your studies. If you need further explanations, examples and advice, head over to historyskills.com and I'll see you next time.
Okay, class, nadagdagan yung ating kaalaman sa pagkakaiba ng primary at secondary sources. Tandaan natin mabuti yung primary sources, maaring ito yung mga naisulat na mga pangyayari sa mga oras na iyon. Halimbawa, batay sa ikaw yung nakasaksi o ikaw yung mismo naka-eyewitness tungkol doon. Mga speeches, mga photographs, mga letters, mga unpublished na mga unpublished novel or unpublished books. Samantalang sa secondary sources, naisulat yung pangyayaring iyon pagkatapos ng mga pangyayari or pagkatapos na naganap ng pangyayari ngayon ay naisulat or naitala, naipublish sa mga libro, sa mga textbook, sa mga libro, sa mga magazine, sa mga encyclopedia. Maaaring maituring nating secondary sources yung mga nababasa natin sa website. Yung mga secondary sources, yung mga napapanood nating video sa YouTube na patungkol sa mga pangyayaring iyon. Yun yung mga secondary sources. Okay, bilang assignment ninyo o takdang aralin para sa inyong individual output, ay panoorin nyo ang video tungkol sa identify its sources. Kumbaga ay tutukuyin nyo kung ang sources nga ba na binigay dito ay primary o secondary. Ito ay may kinalaman kay Santiago's Alvarez account. Ayan, papanoorin nyo tong video ito at mamaya ay gagawa kayo ng reflection paper o magkakaroon kayo ng pagsulat ng reflection. Ayan, panoorin ang Santiago's Alvarez account. Okay, para naman sa ikalawang panoorin ninyo, panoorin niyo yung kay Teodoro Agoncillo's History of the Filipino People. Ayan, pakihanap na lang din yan sa YouTube. History of the Filipino People. Pagkatapos yung mapanood dyan, ay gagawa rin kayo ng isang reflection paper. Okay, ito yung inyong individual output. Number 1, write a reflection paper about primary and secondary sources of Santiago Alvarez, Katipunan, and the Revolution. Memoirs of a General. And Teodoro Agoncillo, History of the Filipino People. Second, make a comparative analysis of primary and secondary sources from the given text or from the given videos. Third, it is composed of 3 paragraphs, introduction, body, and conclusion. Ayan, class, tapos na ang ating klase. Maraming salamat sa inyong panonood. Hanggang sa muli. Paalam and God bless.